First-person shooter games have always been a staple in the gaming scene since the first Wolfenstein was released in the 90s. Since then, other franchises have held the torch of being quote-unquote the best shooter on the market. Franchises such as Doom, Medal of Honor, Call of Duty, all have come and gone throughout the years. While they still exist and at times some of them make a comeback of sorts, they have all had their breakout game that sets the tone for the series. For the Borderlands franchise, I think Borderlands 2 was its breakout title. Developed by Gearbox Software and published by 2K for various consoles, this is the PlayStation 3 version, Borderlands 2 took the rough draft that the first Borderlands had and expanded on it in every way possible. The guns, the characters, the enemies, story, and just overall production value of the game was improved from top to bottom. If you have all the DLC, you play as one of 6 vault hunters who are searching for wealth and fame on the planet Pandora, which apparently has a so-called vault that will give you pretty much whatever you want. Along the way, you'll see familiar faces from the first game, such as Claptrap, the other vault hunters, Mad Moxie, Scooter, and one of my favorite characters, Dr. Zed, who was the main villain in one of my favorite post-game DLCs ever, the Zombie Island of Dr. Ned. A great short DLC if you haven't played it.
I'm starving! I want to eat your babies!
Son, this might sting a bit.
As soon as you boot up the game, immediately you are introduced to the main villain of the game, Handsome Jack, who is the only boss character worth noting in the whole game. Jack is trying to get the vault before you do and take over the world. Who I have to say Jack's writing still holds up for the most part. A common viewpoint for Borderlands 2 is that the writing is somewhat of a time capsule for early 2010s humor, and is written by people who still think and act as teenagers, which in some cases it most certainly is.
Full on!
A common theme in the writing and parts of your gameplay is that your character is being called a badass. But mostly I have found that the story and writing to be actually pretty funny, even today.
You are such a jackass.
And near the end you will most certainly want Handsome Jack dead. While better than the first entry, the story is not the reason you play the Borderlands series. You're here to shoot enemies with a lot of different weapons, leveling up a character, and looking at all the areas that are in the game, and then repeating that process. In fact, I would say you don't even need to have played the first game to come to grip with the narrative or gameplay. It is a very easy to just pick up and play if you've played any shooter in the past 20 years.
Or at least he's called that. No one knows his real name.
No, next. I think this was series more times, so 9 times
Visually, I think the game looks about the same with upgrades here and there, but nothing too drastic. But there's without a doubt more biomes in the first game. I remember there was really only the desert and the snow biomes in Borderlands 1, whereas in the sequel there's tons of places and areas to explore, and even more if you have all the DLC.
You also ought to know complaining about opportunity clause is considered verbal literacy.
Speaking of downloadable content, I chose to play as one of the 2 DLC characters, Jage the Necromancer, whose main ability is to summon her robot companion Deathtrap, who can be upgraded to do various other abilities like recharge your shield and explode when near enemies. While her summon ability is good, especially when playing the game solo as I am, her best ability without a doubt is Anarchy. After killing an enemy or fully emptying your magazine, you gain a stack of Anarchy. With every stack of Anarchy increases your gun damage by 1.75%, but your accuracy decreases by that amount as well. You can have a total of 150 stacks with the base ability, but upgraded you can have a total of 400 stacks. So, you know, you do the math. That's a lot of damage potential, but also be prepared to not hit with more stacks.
More anarchy! More!
Other than dying, the way you will lose all of these stacks is by hitting the reload button. So if you had the feeling to always keep your gun fully loaded like I do, I just mag dump the ground to reload. This is practically a requirement, as the button to pick up items is the same button to reload. So when picking up items, I have found myself reloading as well. Well, I think Jage is a good character if you're playing the game solo with her bot summoning and anarchy ability. Let me tell you, there was plenty of times where I died or hit the reload button on accident and just lost all my stacks after a while, especially in my second playthrough on this character. Without at least 50 stacks of anarchy, it feels like you don't do any damage at all, especially against the tougher enemies, which are the badasses. While it is not hard to earn stacks of anarchy, there is a perk that gives you the chance to get 2 stacks instead of 1 sometimes. Getting that ball rolling can be tricky depending on the enemy or group of enemies you're fighting, but once you do have enough stacks, you will be able to almost one-shot enemies that are your level. Combine this with one of my character perks that fills up my shield 100% after each kill, and I am clearing out an entire area with no problem. While I have not played the other characters, they all seem to bring something to the table when playing in a co-op match with friends or randoms. And surprising no one, there was nobody playing on the PS3, or at least it did not show anyone in my level range. But what is surprising is that the servers are still up and running as of this video. I thought for sure Gearbox or 2K would have shut them down by now with the remaster up and running, but fortunately you can play online, and apparently there's even a way to transfer your save to other consoles, which I did not test.
I am the strongest girl alive!
Even with the differing characters, the game is very fast-paced and offers many ways to play and means to tackle even the most basic of enemies. The staple of the Borderlands series is the mass amount of randomized weapons you can equip, different made-up gun manufacturers each having their own gimmick on top of the chance for a weapon having an elemental effect on it. Each enemy type has a weakness to a certain elemental. For example, with an armored enemy such as the robots, they are weak to corrosive damage, so you'll want to have a good corrosive weapon ready to make short work of those enemy types. The use of elemental weapons is a requirement as you go through a second playthrough, or what the game calls true Vault Hunter mode. The element slag in particular is a necessity. Once an enemy appears doused by the purple element, they will take 2 times the damage from all non-slag sources. So combine all of this elemental damage with Jage's anarchy ability, and you might as well be firing a miniature nuke at enemies. With all the different types of weapons on offer, I do remember that being kind of a problem in a co-op setting. Let's just say that I've had and seen many friendships be tested when certain good randomized weapons drop, or God forbid a legendary weapon or shield drops. Yeah, things can get pretty nasty in a co-op setting when good drops from enemies. Another way to tweak your playstyle is with the game's badass rank, which allows you to add little increments of percentages to an area of your choosing, such as gun damage or weapon accuracy, among other things. You earn these ranks by completing various challenges, but I never found myself actively doing them. I felt that I always went higher in rank just by simply playing the game, but the option to min-max is definitely there. Before I forget, there was one major improvement to the overall gameplay. That was that you could now automatically pick up ammo and money off the ground just by walking by it. In the first game, you had to look at it and press a button, which was a hassle if you were in a gunfight and were looking for ammo. So that additional small quality of life feature made the game feel a lot smoother. It's weird how a little addition can change the gameplay pretty much on its head. After you finish your second playthrough, you again have the option to go through the game with Ultimate Vault Hunter mode. with even harder enemies and better loot on top of an increased level cap, which the level cap with all the DLCs is 72, at least on the 7th gen consoles. I found that once you start on New Game Plus, this is where you have to play to your class strengths and use the slag elemental at all times. You must use every trick in the book in order to not get overwhelmed and actually progress through the game at a normal pace, even with you getting killed in one shot. Enemies will be harder and, in most cases, have a different model and name to showcase this. And with bosses, you may have to cheat a bit, especially if you're playing solo through New Game Plus playthroughs. This to me is where the game actually starts to take shape. The first playthrough was just a taste test of what is possible with your chosen character and what an ultimate Vault Hunter mode playthrough actually requires. More importantly, this is where you want to be if you want to start all the additional campaign DLC, in which all will scale with your level if you're playing on your 3rd playthrough. In total, there are 4 campaign DLCs with 4 mission packs, 2 level cap raisers, and the aforementioned 2 additional characters. So even with just the base game, there is a ton of additional content to go through, in which I do plan to review the campaign DLCs as well because I never played them when they first came out. And honestly, I just want to play more Borderlands 2. So by me just wanting to play more even after going through almost 3 playthroughs straight, yeah, I would say it's a good game. And now it is super cheap too, so there's really no reason to not have played it. While there are now many entries into the series and even a movie for some reason, I think Borderlands 2 was the only time the Borderlands series was relevant or a must-buy. While Borderlands 4 just released a couple months ago, I haven't played it, but I want to at some point. I can safely say it has not had much of an impact as Borderlands 2 did though. The first game was already really good and a ton of fun in co-op, and then the second game came and turned everything on its head and set a baseline for how games in the Borderlands series would play out. So if you're looking for a decent shooter to play with your friends or take a trip back to early 2010s meme humor, then I would recommend Borderlands 2 or even the Borderlands franchise, because after all this, they all kind of play the same, just with a slightly different look and setting. So in that case, just play Borderlands, bro. It's a damn good time.
Greatest engineer alive!
You killed some of my best men to get to me! I only got one thing to say to you. That was awesome! So what you want?